So really focusing in first and foremost on your ideal customer profile and not just looking at the key attributes that you think of, obviously the ARR of the company, the number of employees and those kind of things. Go deeper, understand the psychographics, understand the technographics, understand even whether or not your company is going to be better, what kind of funding in terms of a company is going to better stick with you. If PE-backed firms are your best fit, understand that.
Revenue boosters, tips now in the fast lane. Watch your profits grow. Welcome to the Rev Podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rev Up Podcast. Today, we are joined by Kelli Negro. She is the CMO at Evisort. Evisort is a contract intelligence or contract management AI platform. They're now considered a leader in contract intelligence. They're helping all kinds of customers and even some of their competitors power their AI contract intelligence. They're walking in the quarter with a 9.8 coverage ratio on their pipeline to goal. Really, really incredible performance. AI is hot, but it seems like, Kelli, you and your team are doing better than most out there. So I'm excited to jump in there and learn what's underneath that. How do you actually create and build a marketing program for that type of success? So let's jump right in. Kelli, you've been there for a little bit. How do you really build the right program to make that type of success achievable?
Yeah. So first, thanks so much for having me here, Greg. I didn't get to thank you in advance, so I definitely want to take the time to do that. So I've been at Evisort for now I'm going on 9 months here in seat. And when I joined the organization, we lacked some of the basics that I recommend for all companies. And really setting up some of the foundational basics will really help you to achieve success fairly quickly if you do it right. And so when I joined the organization, the first thing I did was a deep dive into what it was our ideal customer profile. And I did this from a bottoms up and a top down perspective. In terms of a bottoms up, we're really working with our customer success team to truly understand what it is that makes a good customer in terms of stickiness and in terms of retention, upsell, and cross-sell. Working with our sales team to understand what makes a customer buy. Working with our marketing team to analyze the right customer mix, who's the customer that bites. And then actually going out and meeting with 30 of our customers to understand truly what is the ideal customer profile and how do we get more of them. So really spending the time to do the right amount of research on your ideal customer profile and looking at it from a 360. Oftentimes, I think marketers only think about who is going to buy. They don't also understand who are we going to retain, because that retention number and our retention rate is 94%, which is astronomically good in this industry.
That's
so
fantastic.
With a 94% retention rate, we want to model the customer that is going to retain and upsell and cross-sell. So really focusing in first and foremost on your ideal customer profile and not just looking at the key attributes that you think of, obviously the ARR of the company, the number of employees and those kind of things. Go deeper, understand the psychographics, understand the technographics, understand even whether or not your company is going to be better, what kind of funding in terms of a company is going to better stick with you. If PE-backed firms are your best fit, understand that and understand that venture companies might not be. No, that's an extreme, but I'm just using that as an example. You need to understand every single aspect of your ICP. Once you have your ICP, then you do your TAM. And you can't come up with your TAM until you have that clear ICP. And really,
when you're going through this journey of finding the right ICP, so you've talked to 30 clients, you did tops down, bottoms up, and you found all the different attributes of your ideal customer profile. Mm-hmm. Did you have some type of ranking or sequencing of the different vectors to figure out, hey, these are absolutely existential and critical, and these ones are nice to have? So as you think about your TAM, if you go too narrow, it gets so small. Or how do you think about the different attributes as they relate to each other?
Yeah, ICP is a really tough one because if you go too small, you kill your flow. do. So it was more of these are attributes that we're going to implement immediately in terms of our targeting from a marketing perspective. And these are ones that are going to be implemented over 18 months. So for example, if you're going up market from an ARR perspective, and let's say right now you're targeting companies with 50 million in ARR, but you have to get to 250 million, you have to do that over a 12 to 18 month period, or you'll fail your funnel. And you might be sending customers in that are going to churn, but you also have to keep your funnel going. So it's really just understanding that it's an art form and making sure that you're going to be doing this over a period of time. So yes, you have to have the ranking. You have to have an understanding of where you might crush your funnel. And if you're going to crush your funnel, do it over a period of time. And that way you'll never see a dip.
Totally.
So I would say ARR is your most important one there. If you're moving up in terms of where you want to target, you want to make sure that you're going to be doing that move very, very slowly.
Totally.
ICP, like I said, you have to do it right. You cannot change overnight. It's a dance to get to the right partner. You have to dance with a bunch of not right partners. So, you just have to find your way there slowly, learn your moves before you get to that right partner so that you can actually dance with them.
Absolutely. So ARR, in your opinion, is probably the most important attribute to align on the size of the company.
For us, it was ARR, it was number of employees, and it was the technographics in many ways. We had to know that they were used to using a certain type of technology.
Totally.
Because our technology requires a little bit of sophistication. So for example, if you had not implemented we used Salesforce as our kind of key. If you had not, put in a large ERP or CRM, et cetera, we were not going to be the right fit for you. So if you were on HubSpot as your CRM and marketing automation system, that wasn't going to be the right fit for us. And we knew that. So you are going to find that for each company, it's going to be different, and it should be different for each organization.
I think technographics is a great vector. It's such a great manifestation of a company's stage and their sophistication and how they're thinking about things.
But also verticalization, like look at your verticals. Where are you winning? Where do you have customer references? That should play a huge part in how you develop your ICP. So your verticals, where you're going to be. So for us, we know that we win when it's highly regulated, when it's a really complex industry. So insurance, energy, banking, financial services in general. But all of these areas, we know that the more sophisticated the company, the better our product is going to help them uncover, extract the data from their contracts and their agreements.
Totally. Complex industries, large companies, I think that are technically capable is a really great. It's probably hard job for you to go find those people and figure out how to get them to consider Evisort as a solution. So now that you have this ICP, right? You've done the work to find your ICP. You know who you want to go after. Walk me through what the process has been for you to actually go and in a more targeted way find the right folks.
Yeah. So the first thing we did was then we did our target. We did our TAM. So we looked at what was the total available market, and we did the SAM as well, just to understand what was available to or what we should be going after. From there, working with our sales team, and this has to be done in full integration with the sales organization. We did what we called a strategic carve to be able to carve out what is a tier 1 account, what is a tier 2 account, what is a tier 3 account, and then looking at in the tier 1 accounts, who were the salespeople going to go after directly? Who were the BDRs? And in our case, we have at the very upper end of our market, so in our highly strategic accounts, we have pre-sales consultants. These are highly experienced BDRs. Wow. They have 20 plus years of experience. They've sold in many cases and really love the pre-sales part of the game versus the actual closing of the deal. So we have our pre-sales agents that work as part of our ABM motion for those top level accounts. And then we have all the way down to our lower enterprise. We're looking there with an integrated BDR team that's much more of a traditional BDR team. So you do your strategic carve, you understand who your sales org is going after directly, who are they building their plans around, who are we going after, and then your tier 2s, how you're going to warm those up with one-to-many campaigns, and your tier 3s, how you're going to, use different programs to warm them up as well, with more of the omni-channel approach there and the always on.
That's fantastic. So you really think about breaking that out into the tier 2, tier 3, which is more of a traditional marketing, and then tier 1 is more of an ABM approach. That seems
Absolutely.
like a lot to bite off as a marketing organization.
It is. We're a small organization too, but the way that we have structured this is very doable. So we have what we call our always on programs. Our always on programs are things like paid search, brand campaigns via LinkedIn, et cetera. But then we get very specific based on, obviously based on our understanding. It's all about analytics and really understanding what's working to drive the customer. And we experiment a ton. So at the top of the funnel, we are constantly experimenting whether or not it's with direct mail or whether or not it's with, any kind of direct mail, whether or not it's with some kind of syndication. We're constantly experimenting with different types of programs in different industries, different personas, et cetera, in order to find the right mix in each of our segments. So we'll take it even, we do vertical campaigns. Our vertical campaigns are very, very well thought through in terms of we identify the regulations, we identify any laws that are upcoming. We make them highly relevant and really, really focused on solving our customers' greatest problems versus just pushing out a product and talking about our product features. And then we find the right places to actually go after our individual customers, and understanding that it takes, 16, what is it? I think the latest data shows 14 calls to get an answer.
Wow.
So that's at the BDR level. And we're integrating BDR with a lot of programs as well. So, we have a lot of touches that we're making in order to drive consideration.
That's fantastic. And I think, a lot of folks here are in the field working on a lot of similar things. You're testing lots of different things. Obviously it's working well. What channels or strategies for that actual approach are having an outsized impact right now as you're analyzing the various ones against each other?
Yeah, so it is as much about the content that you're putting into the channel as it is about the channel itself. What we find is that the more specific we are with solving a problem and a real world problem, whether or not that's third-party risk or, whatever that problem might be for the company in their industry, and speaking specific industry language and speaking directly to them, the more we can do that, the better off we are. So if we're marketing, let's say, healthcare, and we're looking at a healthcare customer, and we're leveraging, we're using syndication, and we're driving use cases in healthcare. We're using, and also let's say an AI healthcare white paper that's speaking specifically to their issues in healthcare. We're going to be driving to a landing page, and the landing page is going to have a contract that's specific to healthcare, hopefully to that client coming, because we know who the clients are.
That's super cool. So you'll customize that even to the specific client.
Absolutely. So
that's awesome.
if we know that Kaiser Permanente is showing intent and they're coming to our website, we're going to pull a contract that's available on the internet. We're going to put it directly up on the landing page, and we're going to show them how we would redline that contract or how we would pull out data. That's how deep we're going to go into our conversion, because we can do that with our software. So there's no reason not to.
That's fantastic. It's amazing that you can do it. And it seems like if you're doing that, if other people are just doing generic marketing messages, there's no way they can compete with you.
No, and that's why, at the strategic level, that's why we ended up, we're already driving such a good pipeline coverage. Our pipeline coverage is so strong because we're showing our customers specifically how we solve their unique challenges. And we do enough research to be able to understand. There aren't that many. There's Fortune 1500 for a reason, or Fortune 1500. So you don't have to do that much research to really, truly understand what your customers' problems are. It's pretty clear in their earnings calls, et cetera, and, or just from reading the news. So if you can find, for your top 100, what their key challenges are, there's no reason that you won't build out against that how you can solve those problems.
Totally. It's a luxury of selling much, much higher priced enterprise.
Correct.
You could know everything about them, but you have to go wide.
You
Right.
couldn't do this if you were doing SMB. I mean,
Totally.
SMB there you're looking at, but you can do it there at the vertical level. So you can say in banking, there's a new law coming into, for all small private banks, there's a new law coming in January that's going to impact every one of them. Every single one of them has to know about DORA. So you could use that regulation to speak to the pain that they're going to go through come January. So you have to be that specific, though. I mean, if you're looking just to brand your company, you are just not going to make any headway. You have to brand your company by showing how much you understand what your customers are going through and how you are the reason are the way that they can solve their biggest challenges. This is about solution selling. It's about creating a better life for your customers. And realistically, that's truly what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned something before that I want to come back to. It's having the right metrics, the right reporting to support all this. Walk me through sort of what that looks like in your mind to support this sophisticated plan going after both ABM and your sort of tier 2, tier 3, always on one-to-many plan.
So we're really metrics driven at Evisort. So we are constantly looking at our funnel. I don't even measure my team at the top of the funnel metrics that most marketers still measure at. So we don't look at MQLs, and we don't call them MQLs. We actually call them MQAs already. So I don't even think about MQLs. Think about marketing qualified accounts. So we are not really looking at the top of the funnel. Where do we meet our sales team? We meet at the SQO, which is the sales qualified opportunity.
Yep.
So, and what do we track above that? We track everything from meetings set to meetings held to a sales qualified lead, which is our hold stage before we make them into an opportunity. So my team is responsible for all of that. And at the top of the funnel, we track everything from the type of content that goes into the top of the funnel, what channel does that go into, and what does that create in terms of intent from a Sixth Sense perspective, but also what does it create in terms of becoming an actual qualified MQA, and how does it flow through the funnel? So understanding from the very top of your funnel into what brings you the most qualified opportunity that's going to close the quickest at the highest ARR is what you have to do. And that is a dance that you have to do with your RevOps team and with your sales organization. In our case, our RevOps team sits outside of sales. They sit in the middle of sales and marketing, which I love because they become almost the guardrails for both teams, and they help us to better function and work together. And I think what it's done for us is it's created a really well-oiled machine that is working, side by side. Right now we've already hit a 34% year-over-year growth after 2 quarters.
Wow.
And we're pushing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well up. Yeah, it's really fun. This is where it gets fun, because now you're fine tuning.
So Kelli, I love that you're not looking at MQLs. And I think that's actually a growing trend that I keep hearing about. People sort of ditching the MQL because it is sort of a point of contention, really going for the SQL. But you even said thinking about metrics deeper down funnel, which is the ARR and even the retention, starting to look towards retention. Yeah. How do you even think maybe one step ahead around keeping score of the metrics that you're looking at by channel or allocating budget, looking further down funnel than even an SQL? How does that in practice manifest itself for you and your team?
So if I'm thinking about, for example, win rate dictates what I need to do in terms of pipeline coverage.
Totally.
So if my team has a low win rate, I have to double my pipeline coverage, which is terrible for me.
Totally.
So because then more pressure is put on me. So if I'm not focused on what is the win rate, what is the ARR, then I don't know what I should be doing for coverage at the top of the funnel. So pipeline coverage should be set based on ARR, based on win rates. And therefore I'm involved in that conversation because I want to hold my sales team accountable, because otherwise we'll miss. If my goal is too high, I need to call, I have to call it a no-go. If someone tells me that I need a 14-time coverage because their win rate sucks, I won't sign up for that. I mean, that's not a possibility that marketing is going to bring a full 14-time coverage to the sales funnel if the win rate is low.
Totally.
So having that conversation and being that real with your sales team to be able to say, if you're going to continue to bring in deals at this size, we have to bring in 4 times as many, and you don't even have enough reps to do that. That's the conversation that you have to have. So you have to be in the weeds. You have to know every single thing about your funnel.
Totally.
And I look at every single qualified meeting that comes in, let alone, anything that becomes an SQO. And if I see deals going over the win line that are at too low an ARR, for example, I know that's actually going to cause a problem for our customer success team. Or if they come in without enough professional services attached, I know it's going to create an issue for my customer success team. And therefore, it's going to create an issue for the customer.
Totally.
Because they're not going to be as happy. So this is a full dance all the way down into the customer success team. My customer success team is where I get all my case studies from. It's where I get all of my speakers for our podcast. It's where I get my speakers for any kind of presentation that we're doing on stage. And we do all of this stuff. It's where I get all of my webinar, presenters, et cetera. If I don't have a really good relationship with them and with the customer at the end of the funnel, we're just not going to do marketing very well.
Totally. And so this is so interesting how you think so far down the funnel and so holistic. It's rare. It should be more common, but it is rare. How do you think about that recursively as it goes into budgeting across different channels or marketing programs as you build your plan for the quarter or the year? What does that look like as you think about maybe this has this many SQLs that I'm able to get, but they generate lower ARR, or sort of how you think about budgeting as the metrics and reporting?
I think you set it up pretty clearly right there. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to model the funnel or the channel that gives me the highest return. But there are some channels that I'm never going to find a return on that I still have to do. So good, bad, or ugly, sometimes it can be pretty expensive to work with our analyst community. And sometimes it's pretty hard to actually justify the usage of our analyst community. And no, offense to anyone here, but we have to play that game.
Of course.
And
people are using that in their buying journey.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we don't know where they're using it. We just know it's an important piece. So there are going to be some areas that you're not going to be able to measure as closely as others. And that's okay. You have to build that into your budgeting, and you have to understand that not every dollar you put into the top is going to come out as $1.50 at the bottom.
Totally.
So I'm constantly backtracking and looking at, in order to get this deal over the finish line, here are all the touch points that it took. It's not one channel, it's 15.
Totally.
It's not one touch, it's 300. At a previous company, we had a customer who was actually the NFL. So I'll even say it was the NFL. It was the NFL who came to us in 2014, prior to my being at that company. The deal closed in 2019. It went through, we actually mapped the touch points and the number of people that it went through. It went through 7 people and 463, I'll never forget this, touch points.
Wow.
And when it came to the finish line, it came in as a call to a BDR, go figure, from a person that knew all 7 people before, and it was taken across the finish line in less than 6 weeks. So, have a lot of, and I think a lot of people do this, they map their touch points. I mean, we just had a large bank that signed that we're going to be announcing in the next few months. It took 5 years.
Wow.
Our average deal cycle is not 5 years.
Totally.
So as best as you can, map what it takes to get someone over the funnel. How many, what is the BDR outreach that works alongside direct mail, that works alongside some of your ABM efforts in terms of targeting? How do you make the mix right so that you're driving, a consistent funnel?
Totally.
And make mistakes, because that's the only way you learn. I mean, we've done some we've made some really big mistakes this year on trade shows that we thought were going to be huge, and they were abysmal. And, and then we've tried new things that we were like, oh, this is never going to work. And they've ended up driving like $5 million in funnel.
Wow.
So you can't, Like just try things. Don't say, oh, don't say no to things. Try them out and just measure the hell out of them to understand what you're going to move forward with.
Totally. I love that anecdote. That anecdote about the NFL is fascinating. You have over 400 touch points, and then they come in through a BDR, and then they close in 6 weeks. It's half of marketing works, the other half doesn't. We don't know which half it is the problem. Yeah. I speak to you and I listen to you, and you have such precision and such experience around and confidence around all these things. And ultimately we end this podcast with, we also don't know what it is. And you just have to do the right programs with as much data as you can. It's an art.
Yeah. It's about partnership as well. So I meet with my sales team. So right now, the top of the funnel is working. So I know that I'm driving pipeline coverage. So what is my next area of focus? Pipeline velocity.
Totally.
So, now I'm working with my sales team, and I have a whole group of sales consultants and part of my sales team. And we're actually talking about funnel velocity and how can product marketing better support our sales team along the funnel. So we're talking about what kind of materials. And these are the unsung heroes. It's like, what kind of content do you need mid-funnel? How do you overcome this pricing objection? How do you overcome this competitor? So now we're going deep into competitive win-loss or win-loss competition. We're building out a whole new series of battle cards. Many of those being, how do you talk to someone that wants to do AI in-house? So a lot of this is, in-house versus buying. What are all of those things that you need to do? And the only way you can do that is alongside your sales team. Totally. And if you don't have the relationship directly at the rep level, you're not going to get the input you need, and you're not going to figure this out. And your sales team is going to continue to struggle at X point in the sales funnel. And if marketing doesn't know that, they're never going to fix it. So it's not just stopping at we deliver leads. No, we also deliver funnel velocity. And then we deliver onboarding as well. And we have to work alongside our team to make sure our customer success team has the right onboarding programs and is supported by marketing there. And then, what kind of programs do we have for our community? And how do we evangelize within our community and make our community feel really part of our family? And that's, it's a never ending role.
Totally. It's so interesting. Yeah. And as you talk about product velocity, obviously a lot of people go to that freemium or product-led growth sort of motion, which may not always be possible in these larger enterprise environments, right? They don't want to have some little team adopt it and think about, they want to buy it and really implement it in a compliant way, in a strategic way. And so it's a totally different set of considerations around how do you improve product velocity through marketing and sales rather than products.
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned that. I met with my some of our co-founders this morning in addition to our GC, and we were talking about a proof of concept or a free trial. And what we have discovered with these larger customers is even with a free trial, they want a contract.
Yeah, they do.
There's a contract in place. So because we're looking at data, and we're looking at the data in their contracts, they still want a contract signed between us. So, once you go up market, you have many different considerations. So, we've put together now, our T's and C's include this, or, the way that we're going to be setting this up is that we know we're offering a free trial, but we're actually going to have to go into a contract with them to get to even a free trial.
Totally. And that contract is the free trial.
It is the free trial.
They're going to redline that contract, and they're going to say,
and that's one thing I do. The second a customer can touch your product, that's where they're going to actually understand your value and benefit.
Absolutely.
So wherever humanly possible, make sure that you have the right offers. Because if you go out with the best campaign in the world and you would just ask and ask and ask and you don't give, you're not going to get the right results.
Absolutely.
So you can't ask for them to sign up for an in-person meeting on day one. You have to know that might actually take 4 different touches, and those touches might be get them to attend a webinar, get them to download something or give them something, have them think about how you're going to be doing that so that it's not you constantly saying, oh, well, just get a demo or just do this.
Totally.
You have to give a little.
Totally. Give value, give a free product, give something,
Yeah.
give content, data. That's amazing.
Yeah. Content, data, whatever it is.
That's amazing. Kelli, this is incredible. I have so much to chew on after this. I think we all need to spend real time with our ICP. We really need to think about that ICP in specific granularity, tops down, bottoms up. Technographics, I think, is a great place to go to really do that. Figuring out the right mix, EBM for the top, really thinking about tier 2, tier 3 with a one-to-many program. The right metrics are incredibly important. Thinking all the way down funnel and budgeting around the right things. But ultimately, we're artists. Thinking about the 464 touch points that it took for the NFL is demoralizing and inspiring at the same time for all of us.
It shows what it takes in terms of the integration between sales and marketing as well.
Totally.
It's just if you're looking to say who gets credit, it's never going to work.
No.
You have to understand that it's just going to take a whole bunch of touch points to get a customer or a prospect to become a customer. And you should be willing to do that with your partners.
Totally. Well, Kelli, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to share this with our audience. And hopefully maybe we'll find some more time in the future to bring you back on. This was great.
Sounds good. Right. Thanks so much, Greg.
Thank you,
Really appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Rev up your ears, it's time to ignite. GTM leaders bringing secrets to light. Revenue boost.